Last live stream, I was going over the rooting process of my Samsung Galaxy S Tab S9 Ultra. But word on the street is that the newest version of One UI for Samsung, it looks like that they are hiding OEM Unlock, or they're just gonna block OEM Unlock. And that's something that I actually just heard about today. And I wanted to test the theory. So today I actually did attempt to flash the latest version of One UI 8 on my tablet. And it looks like the rumors were true. So after I did that, I lost root and OEM unlocking was missing. Now, luckily, I was still able to downgrade back to One UI 7 and then do all the patching that was mentioned in the XDA forums, and I'll go over that tonight to help you understand what the instructions are that came from the XDA forums. But yeah, after patching the correct files, flashing it back using Odin, now I'm on a fully updated tablet with One UI 8 that also has root as well. And I might as well let you guys see the end result. Oh, it's a black screen because my screen fell asleep. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring up my settings. So we're looking at my Tab S9 right now. We scroll down, go to About Tablet, Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra. That's my model number. Software information, yes, I am on One UI 8. Android version is 16. Let's see here. Android security patch level, September 1st, 2025. Now, technically on my Pixel, we're at October, but that it's okay. Samsung can be a little bit out of date. It's all good. I believe their tablets get quarterly updates. So they're not going to be as up to date as the Samsung phones, but at least you're still getting updates. So I figured the next time I have to worry about this, maybe January, February is when the next time I have to worry about this, but for now, we're all good. Sorry, I sidetracked a bit. Okay, One UI 8, still got it. And OEM locking is still enabled on mine. And of course I gotta show off root status. It's still installed. I'm using a beta version of Magisk this time. Last time during the live stream I flashed the stable. Now I just felt like going to beta just because I can. Magisk is still enabled. That's a good sign. Then we gotta test out, does the spoofing application still work? So we'll go ahead and do that. Will it blend? That is the question. If you guys remember that, kudos to you. Pokemon Go, what's going on, man? Let's close that. Let's reopen it. There we go. I haven't mocked my location yet. It's fine. Okay. The funny thing is, on the screen capture that I'm using for my tablet, things look a bit laggy. On the tablet itself, it's actually much smoother. I'm thinking that there's just lag between the screen capture. Yep, there we go. There we are at our favorite place, Pier 39. Let's go ahead and walk around a bit. Make sure things are working. Things should be working. Okay, there we go. I'm seeing things load up. Looks like we're all good. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and close all this down. Close that, close that. Okay, so you see the end result. You know that it is possible to upgrade to One UI 8 and maintain root. Now the instructions that came from XDA, I'll try to put the link in the description later on, but this is where the instructions came from. I didn't come up with this all on my own. I'm just following what's here. But if you're a complete newbie to all this, the instructions here might not make sense. So that's the point of this video, is to help you understand what these instructions mean. Because in these forums, all you're seeing is text. I mean, I do love the XDA developer community. It's just the way the forum is, it's a bit difficult to include pictures or demonstrations within this. I mean, the text is great, but if you're a newbie, you will get confused by some of this. Okay, now this is a little bit hard to read overall. There's no separation, no numbers or anything. You're just seeing bullet points. So I went ahead and copied everything over. I didn't change the text at all over here. I just have it, I think it's a bit better organized over here, so it'll be easier to follow along. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. All right, so the original author, let's see here, what is he saying? High level is that we're modifying the One UI stock firmware. We're modifying some of the files that are in there to have some of the files from the One UI 7 firmware. So if we replace some of those files that are in there, then we should be able to maintain OEM unlocking and maintain our root status. That's the high level of it. Now, I'm not the most, how should I put this nicely? I'm not the most tech-savvy person in the developer community. I don't know all of the jargon, so whatever I'm saying, it might be somewhat incorrect, but the general idea is I'm trying to break down the instructions for you guys to make it easier to understand. Oh, hold on. Gotta check in on something over here. Oh, that's weird. Sorry about that, guys. Just talking to myself. Okay. All right, let's start by going through step 1. Actually, step 1 and 2, I think I should go over together. Now, this person is talking about his Galaxy Fold 6, I believe. He's comparing the firmware for One UI 8 and then the firmware for his device for One UI 7. What they're saying here is that the 5th digit from the end of the firmware, it has to match. So if they match, you can do the file swaps that we're talking about. Now in my case, this is the One UI 8 firmware for my tablet. This is One UI 7 for my tablet, and this is the firmware that I was working with in my last live stream. Now if we go 5 digits or 5 characters from the end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you see number 5 there. On the One UI 8 firmware, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 characters from the end is still a 5. So that's why I'm able to follow the steps here. I'm not too sure what would happen if you do it, if the fifth character from the end does not match. I don't think that's mentioned anywhere in the instructions. I'm assuming that it just won't work, so that is a do at your own risk thing. Okay. Now, of course, I did some pre-downloading before the live stream, and that's because these are some giant files, and it would just take long to download everything during the live stream. So I have them organized here. I have a 1UI7 version of the firmware and then a 1UI8 version of the firmware. I also have them opened up in sub tabs as well over here. So you'll see me go back and forth between them, but along the way I'll try to explain that I'm doing that, so it should be less confusing when we go over the instructions. Okay, so that takes care of step 1 and 2. That's the point that the author was trying to get across. Okay, so we unzip both of the firmwares. Okay, I already did that earlier, like I mentioned. These stock firmware for One UI 7 and 8, when you download them, they are saved as zip files. So you would have to extract them, and within those zip files, that is where we see all the files within them. Okay, now here's where things start to get confusing. Untar sounds like a foreign word, but really, it's kind of the same. It's similar to unzipping or unpacking. I might just refer to this as unpacking. Untar the BL tar MD5 1UI7 file. So he's talking about going to the 1UI7 firmware that you extracted, talking about the BL file that I have highlighted right there. All right, so if we unpack it, let's go ahead and show more options. Now, untarring or unpacking, Windows by default won't be able to do that. I'm using a tool called 7-zip to extract these files. All right, so let's go ahead and extract the BL file for 1UI7. And the subdirectory should be within the same directory. So I'm just going to say OK. Cool. All right. So we performed that step. We unpacked the BL file for 1UI7. Let's open that up. It said that the only file we actually need from here is ABL ELF LZ4. You know, I hate the way Windows automatically sorts this. Let's turn off grouping. That's kind of annoying. All right, so that's basically the file that we're going to need. He says that you have to delete all these, but really, you don't need to. I can just copy this because I know I'll be copying into a different directory, or I'll be pasting this into a different directory pretty soon. Okay, now he's saying untar or unpack the BL file for the 1UI8 firmware that's here. So here, now I switched over to my subtab for 1UI8. Here's the BL file. Let's go ahead and extract this. Okay. There's our subfolder for the BL file for 1UI8. We're going to remove. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to remove anything. I'm just going to overwrite it. Let's go ahead and turn off this grouping by thing. So that's a file. I mean, you can delete it and then paste in the other one if you want. That's fine. It accomplishes the same thing. I'm just going to paste, replace file in the destination. That's pretty much it. Okay, what is our next step? Yeah, so this, it can be confusing because they're still talking about One UI 8 here, but it doesn't explicitly say that. So I'm still in my One UI 8 firmware folder. So if I go to AP, this is the AP file that he's talking about. Right click on that. We'll go ahead and extract this or unpack it, whatever you want to call it. Extract files. This is a big boy file. That's why it's going to take a bit. Now, just as a reminder, I'm still in the One UI 8 subfolder. Just checking in on some things while that's happening. Ooh, we got warnings. Can't open hash archive. That's a bit odd. I actually didn't run into that issue the last time I did it, but this is more of a demonstration of what should be done. Yeah, this is just a demonstration for me showing you guys what should be done. Now, that message that you see an error message like that, you should probably re-download your files. Because to me, that means that there might be something wrong with the file that I downloaded. I did this earlier on a different computer, downloading the same files. It could be an issue with my computer, or it could be an issue with the file that was downloaded. But normally, you should not see a message like that. Anyway, moving on, we extracted or unpacked that AP file that they were talking about. And this next step, move the VB meta img file from the BL directory above into this directory. Now, that sounds like a mouthful as well, but really, they're just talking about this. We're still in the One UI 8 folder, and this is the extracted BL folder that we did earlier. And we are looking for VB meta img. Talking about that folder, or this file. Alright, let's go ahead and move this over. And we're still in the One UI 8 folder. This is the extracted AP file. And we would paste it here. Okay. And now it says tar all files here again into a new AP tar file. They're just talking about all these files that are in here. You can highlight them all, or Control A, select all. We right click, compress to tar file. Now I see that option there because I already installed 7-zip on my computer. Okay, it did create a tar file for me. You notice that the name is kind of funny. Now that name, it looks like that because when I highlighted everything, I just happened to right click on this file right here and then I chose the option to compress the tar. You can change the name of this file. You can call it like AP tar. Hold on. Oh, there we go. We can just call this AP underscore. I guess I'll just call this like October. Something that's easy for you to recognize that you made that tar file. Okay, so that is there. What is our next step? Okay, copy and paste that AP file to. You know what? It says an already rooted phone. That's not really true. You can do this on any Android that has the Magisk APK or Magisk app installed. I believe you guys already saw me do that in the previous live stream, so you don't have to have a rooted phone to do this. You would just need an Android that already has Magisk installed. All right, and he's just explaining that when you use the Magisk app to patch the AP file, it will also patch the VB meta file that was put in here. Okay, so this part should look very similar to what I did in the last live stream. I'm wondering if I still have. I wonder if I still have my old AP file on here that I did earlier today. I'm going to check in on that. Gotta change my USB settings to actually allow file transfers. There we go. Now this is just me navigating through the tablet to see if I have what I need. Are you here? I don't think it's here. It's fine if it's not. You know what? I don't think it's here. That's fine. Could be worse. Yeah, that's fine. Well, let's go back to my OneUI8 folder. This is where I made that tar file. That means I would just copy it over to my tablet because I already have Magisk on here. And this looks like this is going to take a while to transfer the file. You know, of course, the other one, or my other computer when I did it earlier today, file transfers were a lot faster, most likely because of the cable that I'm using. I believe I'm using a cable right now that doesn't support the higher transfer speeds. That's why it looks like this, or it's performing this slow. And of course, I left all that stuff at work. Of course I did. But I think since you are seeing me do like the unpacking and the repacking of some of these files, or untarring and retarring some of these files, I think the rest of the instructions should look more familiar now that you're seeing how the past steps work. But we'll wait this out just because we have the time to. And of course, what am I doing while waiting for things to transfer? I'm just hanging out on my phone. Or, you know what? Let me check in and see if there's any chat messages. I need to get better about doing that. Sometimes I just get so absorbed in the work, I don't even see or pay attention to chat messages. Kind of the same thing when I'm at real work as well. Sometimes I'm just so focused on my work where, and then, I hear the notifications going off. I don't do anything about it because I'm just focused on what I'm doing. Then again, you know what? I'm pretty new to all this live streaming and video stuff. Pretty sure I'm not popular enough to have a bunch of messages coming out of nowhere. Alright, no messages. That is just fine. Yep, nothing in OBS, so I think we are just fine. No messages. Cool. I'll probably keep apologizing for this, but the last person that sent me messages in the live stream, I do apologize for not responding to your messages in a timely manner. I had my kids running around everywhere, and, me doing the routing stuff, explaining things as I go along. I was just very much distracted when I was doing all that. Yeah, I'm one of those weirdos that likes to see the progress bar go by. Lets me know that something's actually happening. In the old days, hard drives made a lot of noise, so if I wanted to know if something was actually happening, I would just have to listen to the hard drive spinning and the clicks that I hear coming from the computer. Because if I'm trying to do something that is resource intensive and I don't hear anything coming from the hard drive, it usually means that something is frozen or stuck, something like that. Now we're in the age of SSDs. I don't hear anything from these computers most of the time, so I have to rely on progress bars or the task manager to let me know that there's disk activity. Or if there's a indicator light, then I can just watch the indicator light blink. Yeah, note to self. I should have brought back the high-speed data cable, because this should have been done within like a minute or so. I just randomly grabbed a USB-C cable that I just found laying around, and that was a terrible idea. But at least it's not taking half of an hour like it said earlier. Yeah, if you notice that, we only actually worked in that one UI7 folder really for just one file from there. The rest of the work was actually done within the one UI8 stock firmware folder. Oh, do I have another cable sitting around? That's fascinating. No, I don't think I do. Dang. Dang. It's like, we'll deal with it. I mean, well, the beauty of live streaming. I made a mistake, and I am not correcting it just because I can't right now. Okay, so we have that folder brought over to my tablet. Let's try to get into the tablet. Okay. Swipe to open. There we go. Let's maximize this. So we're just using the Magisk app here. I mean, my tablet just so happens to be already rooted, but like I mentioned earlier, you don't need to use a rooted device to do this. You just need to install the Magisk APK. And remember, if you're going to download the Magisk APK, go to GitHub for that. You can always find that APK somewhere else, but I wouldn't trust it. Just go directly to GitHub. Okay, so once we open the Magisk app, we would go to install, and we're going to select and patch a file. All right, let's go ahead and find that tar file that I created earlier. Let's go. We're just waiting for a confirmation message that says that yes, this was successful. Okay, all done. That's all we needed Magisk for. I'm just going to minimize my tablet screen here. Minimize that. Oh, sorry, I was already there. This is just me navigating through the tablet. Since I already have it connected to the computer, I can just copy and paste directly from it. That Magisk file was generated and should be here. Why is it not here? I wonder if it got saved somewhere else. Let's bring back up the tablet. Okay. Okay, it did get saved to the tablet. I just need to find it. You know what? Let's just refresh. Sometimes with tablets or any kind of Android phone, you have to just get out and get back in. It's still not here, or am I just blind? Do the unplug of shame. Okay. Try this again. I have to choose USB transfer. Files. Okay. Hey! The answer to my prayers. There it is. I had to unplug and replug. Sometimes the Android transfer file system, or whatever they call it, MTP, sometimes there's issues like that. So don't be alarmed if you're just missing it. Just try to unplug and replug in or refresh the page. Something like that. Okay. So where am I going to copy and paste this file to? Well, for now, I just want to bring it into the subfolder for the AP file that I had for One UI 7. So there's that AP file that I repackaged or retarred earlier. So I'm just going to paste the Magisk patched one here. And of course, since I don't have my high-speed USB-C cable, it's going to take a bit of time. It's not going to be 17 minutes. It'll at least go faster than that. But if I had my other cable, it'd be done within a minute. Okay. Oh, that is interesting. I have some things missing over here. Well, while that is still doing its thing, what can I randomly share? What random facts should I share right now? Oh, you know what? I've been typing away on my keyboard for a while, and plenty of people have walked up to me and said, "Hey, your computer, or not your computer, your keyboard is pretty loud. Why is it so loud?" Well, this is like this is my usual keyboard. I have the same keyboard at work and at home. It's not an expensive keyboard. It's an RK84 from Royal Kludge, but the difference is I have different mechanical switches than the ones that came stock. So what I currently have are Kale Box Jades on this keyboard. The one that I have at work, it has Kale Box Navy switches. Now they're very similar. They're very tactile, very, very solid sounding click bar that's in there. I grew up, or not grew up, I worked in a fab in the past. Has a lot of fans going off, so if I type on a silent keyboard, sometimes I don't know that I'm actually typing anything, so that's why I got accustomed to switches that have a click on them. The Jade ones, they're pretty good overall. I mean, I went with the Navy ones just because, I like the higher force required to press down on them. All right, we're almost there. Getting right towards the end. Yeah, really, this whole process seems daunting at first, just because of all the steps that are there, and just if you're a newbie, the steps might not make sense. But at high level wise, we're really just swapping files around, unpacking stuff and repacking it because we have to put it in a format that works properly with Odin. But really, it's just a few file changes or file swaps out here. Alright, let's start prepping for the next step. Alright, so step 10 was the last step that we were working on. It's only taking long just because of the type of USB-C cable that I'm using. So now we can move on to step 11. So it's untar or unpack the patched AP file. They're talking about the file that the tar file that we created from Magisk. So it's here. We're going to unpack it, or untar it, however they want to explain that. Okay, extract files. Yeah, I don't like this weird grouping thing that they keep doing. Friggin' Windows, you never did that in the past. Stop doing that. Okay. Let's see here. So we did extract our patched Magisk file. That's right there. Step 12, move the patch VB meta image file back to the BL directory. Okay, so I'm in the AP directory right now for One UI 8. It's asking about this one. Where's that VB meta file? There it is. That's what they're talking about. We're just going to cut that out of here. Not copy, I'm cutting it out of there. Alright, and we'll go back to our One UI 8 folder. And it said bring it back to the BL directory that we had in there earlier. Okay. Paste. And that should be it for that step. 13. Or, sorry, step 13. Tar all the remaining files. Okay, that's fine. We're going to go back to our AP subfolder. Now, that is a little bit misleading to retar all of this. You don't need a retar, or a repack this Magisk folder that we extracted. You don't need that one either, a fully compressed version of that. So you don't really need to do all of that, and you don't need this one. So I'm going to take these out of here just because I don't want them part of the repack, because the file will just be unnecessarily big. I'm going to hit the delete button this time, just because I already know it'll end up in my recycling bin. But if you're not sure where your files will end up if you press delete, you can always just move them to a different folder. Alright, I'm just going to delete those. It's like, do I really want to do this? Wait, sorry. Of course. I think I caught myself making a mistake already. That's why I was a bit hesitant to do all that. Okay. Remaining tar files. Control Z. Sorry about that. We're actually going back to our Magisk subfolder. We're supposed to retar all of this. Alright. So that's right there. Sorry. Let me rephrase everything. So earlier, you saw me selecting certain files to delete. Don't do that. The reason why is because we patched our Magisk, the file that we got from Magisk. We had to unpack it just to remove that VB meta image file to the BL directory. We're supposed to retar all of this because it contains the patched init boot file there as well. So it contains that, which is necessary to root your device. So we would retar all of this that came from Magisk. Right, let's show it to me like this. This is odd to me. Add to archive, sure. Tar, okay. Okay. Here's our repacked or retarred Magisk file. So we can always call this final to stay consistent with the documentation. Now I do want to move this back to kind of like the home folder that I have for One UI 8. All right, and that would just sit right there with all the other tar files that we have. And then retar everything that's in the BL directory. Okay, so this is the one that we are working with. All right, so that is already there, and our updated VB meta file, that's already there. So this would be retarred or repacked. No more options, 7-zip. Add to archive. Okay. And I'll move this back out to our root folder as well. I see tar over there. That could cause some issues later, so I'm just going to get that. Oh, I have an existing file. That's the same name. Okay. Talking about that one. Let's call the original one old, since we really don't want to be mistaken and patch that one. Oh, that's what's going on. Okay, so that is... Okay, so that's where the file conflict's coming from. Let's call this one final as well. Just tack that on to the end so we know what we're dealing with. And then we'll move that. There we go. Okay, that looks a lot better. Now, here it's pretty much flashed to Odin. So if we bring up Odin, sorry, I think I have Odin stuff over here. Alright, so BL. We want our final patched BL to go here. One UI 8 folder. Our final BL file. Alright, AP. Our final patched AP file, which is basically what came from Magisk. Alright, CP. For my tablet, CP does not exist. I believe that's only for devices that have the cellular service on there. So that would be like a Samsung phone or a Samsung tablet that can accept the SIM card. My tablet is the Wi-Fi only model, that's why I don't have anything here. And then home CSC, and that would come here. It's an unmodified file. So the only modified files that you're bringing in here are BL and AP. And that's pretty much it. I mean, as long as you're in download mode on your tablet or Samsung phone, whatever it is, you can hit start and it would flash everything for you. But I already did that earlier, so at the end of the day, you should end up with something very similar to what I have over here, where, yes, we are on One UI 8. Yep, One UI 8, Android 16, current security patch, and then OEM unlocking should still be there. Now, I believe in the same XDA forums, there's a lot of troubleshooting steps along the way as well, but I didn't really have many issues at all. I just followed the list that was here, and then I was on my merry way. But, throughout the forum, you might have an issue that, someone already came across, and you can find the solution to it just by going through all the other questions and responses that came from here. But that's pretty much it for tonight. I'll be signing off. It's been a long day.